Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal. I hope you are well on this fine and sunny Monday morning in the UK. Might not be sunny where you are around the world, but for once we've got some nice weather over here, so let us enjoy it. And I hope you have recovered from that dramatic game yesterday at the London Stadium. A game which pretty much summed up the inconsistencies of Arsenal. So bad for half an hour and then very, very good for an hour. Managing to salvage something from a game that looked like was heading for an embarrassing defeat. 3-0 down after 32 minutes. End up getting a draw out of it. Probably should have won it as well. Just a game that absolutely summed up where Arsenal are at the moment and the inconsistencies that we need to sort out if Arsenal are going to get back up towards the top of English football and European football, which is the ultimate aim, of course. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that game. I did do my player ratings at the end of the match yesterday. If you haven't seen those yet, I will rattle through those very quickly at the end of this video. But for now, I just wanted to talk on a few little bits from yesterday's game. I want to talk about Martin Odegaard. First of all, because I've been inundated in comments and questions about him since the match, so I'll talk a little bit about him and Arsenal's chances of keeping him in the summer. I want to talk about the starts that Arsenal are having at the moment, which aren't good enough in a lot of games. It's something they have to sort out. We saw that again yesterday. Also talk about Mikel Arteta, who was very, very angry. It was bizarre. It was a bizarre sort of mood for Arteta yesterday. I think it was an absolute relief of what his side did to get themselves something out of the game. There was some pride, real pride in the way they fought back and got themselves a draw and the way they played after that awful start. But there was a lot of anger in Mikel Arteta. You could tell he knew full well that was not good enough for that first half hour, and if Arsenal are to do anything, then they have to make sure they don't play like that again. You could feel the anger, the frustration in him, but there was, like I said, also pride and things like that. So I'll talk about that and a little bit about Aubameyang as well and the international break, which we are now in, unfortunately enough, because I think you, like me, or the majority of you, like me, get a little bit bored during the international break. But hey, what you're going to do, it has started. Right, let's talk about Martin Odegaard, the man of the moment, shall we? What a performance from Odegaard yesterday. Absolutely exceptional again. What a signing he's been since January. The way he's settled, he's adjusted to life over here is just very, very special. Sometimes January signings can come in, especially when they're coming in from abroad and they're not adjusted to the Premier League, and they can just disappoint. We've seen it before. I mean, Suarez was the classic example, coming over from Barcelona to Arsenal. Absolute awful deal in the end. He was not helped by injuries, but it just didn't work, and he went back to Barcelona. He's now playing at Celta Vigo, I think, Dennis Suarez. But when Odegaard signed, there was certainly a lot of people talking about, is this going to be another Dennis Suarez situation? Obviously it's not. He's already done far more than Suarez ever did for Arsenal. A couple of crucial goals against Tottenham and against Olympiacos, and then an absolutely scintillating performance from Odegaard yesterday at West Ham. The key man in that comeback, even though he didn't score or get an assist actually, but just everything went through him. He made Arsenal tick. He was fantastic, and deservedly. I know Chambers got man of the match on Sky, but I think Odegaard was man of the match for me, and he got voted man of the match by the Arsenal fans as well. So could Arsenal keep him? That is the big question. That's a question that lots and lots of you have been getting in touch with me to ask. Unfortunately, I haven't got my crystal ball, can't tell me that at the moment, because we just don't know, and there haven't been any talks yet between Arsenal and Madrid over signing Odegaard permanently. We know, and it was said at the time of his arrival, that the plan is, and what's been agreed with Madrid, is Arsenal will sit down and talk with them in the summer to work out what happens next with Martin Odegaard. There is no clause in his deal, in his loan deal that he signed when he arrived in January. There's no clause to turn that permanent at all. So Arsenal are not in a good position in terms of that when it comes to making it permanent, but they have agreed with Madrid that they will sit down and discuss his future in the summer and try and work out what to do. Now, Arsenal would absolutely love to have Martin Odegaard back. We can see that, the impact he's made, it'd just be an absolute given for that to happen, but a lot of things have to fall into place for that to happen. For me, I still think the most likely option is for him to come back on another loan deal next season for the entire season, kind of similar to what's happened with Dani Ceballos. Obviously, Ceballos was here last year, made an impact. Arsenal agreed with Madrid to bring him back for another season. I think that's probably the most likely thing. If Arsenal are going to get Odegaard back, that would be the most likely outcome, just because I think signing him permanently is going to be very difficult. I hope they do, because I think we've already seen exactly how good a player he is going to be. But there are issues there. A, how much he will cost in this current climate when finances are very, very tough. that's going to be an issue, because you would look at it. I think he's got a couple of years left on his contract at Madrid at the moment. You look at the impact he's made now, you're talking about a £50 million player, I think, there. I think you'd be lucky to get him for anything less than £50 million. Can Arsenal afford to do that? Now, we know they did shell out the money last year to get Thomas Partey in. Mikel Arteta will certainly be putting the pressure on to try and get this deal done for Odegaard, but I think 50 million may well end up being a lot of money for Arsenal. It's going to, you'd think it's going to have to be a case of Stan Kroenke freeing up funds somehow or somewhere, finding funds. He's not going to dip into his own pocket, or I highly doubt he's going to dip into his own pocket, because let's face it, that's not happened since he's come to Arsenal. He doesn't put his own money into the club, we know that. But there is a way of sort of finding money and helping out. He's done that with the refinancing of the stadium debt, that sort of thing. You know, they've somehow found ways of freeing up more money that the club have been able to use. We saw that with Thomas Partey in the summer. So I still think 50 million is going to be a lot for Odegaard if that is the sort of price that Real Madrid would want. So that'll be difficult for Arsenal. Plus, you've got to think so many other clubs are going to be looking at Martin Odegaard now. This is almost an audition for the whole of Europe to watch what he's doing at Arsenal at the moment. He did that last season at Sociedad, and he's doing it again this season with Arsenal. And so that isn't going to be ideal, because if Real Madrid are thinking about cashing in on him, then there'll be plenty of other suitors in the mix for it as well. So there's lots of issues that you got to think of when it comes to signing Odegaard permanently. Also, what Real Madrid want to do. We know that Zidane doesn't really trust Odegaard. Certainly yet. He's never really given any opportunity. Very similar to Ceballos in that regard. That's why Odegaard was desperate to leave in January, because he knew he wasn't getting any minutes. Sort of started the first couple of games of the season, then quickly got ushered out the side by Zinedine Zidane. Having been brought back from Real Sociedad, Odegaard didn't appreciate that at all, and he wanted to leave in January, and he got his move to Arsenal. Now, if Zidane stays at Madrid, then that would certainly help Arsenal's chances of getting Odegaard back, because you'd think that Zidane's going to be looking elsewhere next season when it comes to his playmaker or attacking midfielder role. So that would be a boost. But then there are talk that the hierarchy at Real Madrid, they really like Martin Odegaard, and so could they overrule Zidane in that? So there's lots of different things that are going to have to come into place for Arsenal to make this move permanent. One other scenario which could help Arsenal is that Real Madrid certainly need money. They've been really badly hit by coronavirus and the financial impact of that. They've got the big stadium development plans at the Bernabeu that they need to try and push through. Do they want to make a really big money move this summer, which you would expect they would, to try and sign either Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe, who we know they really, really want, and they've certainly set their sights on. That will cost them huge money, so they might need to raise funds to help with that, and maybe that's a sort of thing that Arsenal can take advantage of if Odegaard is available for a transfer. So I think what we've got to do right now is just sit back and enjoy him at this point, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer, because it's going to be very difficult for Arsenal, but let's hope it's not going to be impossible. We could see him back next season, but I think for now we just got to sit back, enjoy him, hope he can do what he's doing at the moment and continues to do that between now and the end of the season, hopefully firing Arsenal to the Europa League. I mean, Mikel absolutely loves him. He said after yesterday's game, he's showing from week one that he's a leader, the way he steps on the pitch and always wants the ball, the way he commands the pressing. He's been really influential. I think we've all been surprised because he looks shy and humble. When he steps on the pitch, he's a real character and he loves to play football. He had an incredible performance. I think he was very intelligent the way he reads the game, affected the game. He showed how much he wants to win. When everyone was a little bit trembling, he gave us that stability, that composure on the ball and created chance after chance. And he certainly did that. An exceptional performance from Martin Odegaard. In terms of what he said about his future, he's just said at the moment, look, we'll wait and see. You never know what's going to happen. He says he feels very home at Arsenal. He's very happy here, gets on with everyone. So that might help. You would think for next season, if he is going to go anywhere and leave Real Madrid, you'd hope the impression he's made at Arsenal and how settled he is here, that might help tempt him to come back. But like I said a bit earlier on, I think we've just got to sit back at the moment, enjoy the fact Arsenal have got him at the moment, and hope in the summer they can do a deal that brings him back to North London for next season. Right, let's talk about Arsenal's awful starts, shall we? It's becoming a real theme. I'm not sure we've ever seen it as bad as yesterday, but we've seen certainly in recent games. We saw against Man City, we saw it against Aston Villa. There's been really, really poor starts that Arsenal have been punished for. I mean, last night was just atrocious. 3-0 down after 32 minutes. One of the worst half an hour of football I've seen from Arsenal in a long, long time. and it's not good enough, and they've got to sort it out. Thomas Partey was talking about it yesterday. I thought it was really interesting. He said West Ham came out very strong. They overloaded us on the outside, and they are strong with their crossing. We allowed them too much time in the crossing. That hurt us a lot. Second half, we made sure we blocked all the crosses. From there, we started to dominate. We stuck to our plan. We know how to hurt them. We went all out, and everybody was fighting as a team. I think the spirit was high after we conceded 3 goals. From there, we started to give our all, but we have to start as we ended in both halves. Absolutely, they can't keep having to come back and overturn these deficits. They've got to start games as well as they're ending games at the moment, and it was absolutely spot on there. He continued, I think we have to learn from all these mistakes. We have to know when we have to go out strong, when we have to dominate from the beginning. It's important in the Premier League to start winning from the beginning to be on top. You have to start good and end well. Absolutely, you can't keep chasing games, and Arsenal's really poor starts are becoming a bit of a theme, and it's something Mikel Arteta has to get a handle on quickly, because his team can't continue to start doing this, because they're just not going to pick up many points. Yes, they got back and they got 1 yesterday, but that was a game they should have won, and they showed for the final hour that was a game they should have won comfortably. In the end, if they'd have started well, they would have gone on and comfortably won that game, and they need to continue doing that and sorting out the disappointing starts. I mean, Mikel was furious. You could see he was furious. He said with the start, he was very proud of the way his team responded, but he was furious with the start. He said, I'm disappointed because of the way we started the game. The first goal we conceded is their quality. They can do that. The other 2 goals, no. The chance we gave them at the end when they hit the post ourselves, I can't accept it. We showed a phase that I didn't like at all for some minutes in the first half. Then I think we hit another level with the way we can play, which is probably the best I've seen us play all season. I cannot accept that the team has 2 phases. It should only have 1 phase, and that is the top level that we can reach consistently every 3 days for the period of the game. If we're able to do that, then we'll become a different team, and that is the key for Arsenal, is playing that. I still don't think under Mikel Arteta they have played that well for a 90 minutes period. I think the best 90 minutes they've played is probably the Leicester game when they won 3-1, and even then they had that awful start and managed to find themselves one behind, but they came back and won that game 3-1 a few weeks ago. I think that's the best 90 minutes we've seen from Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, and that's a problem. They've got to play well for 90 minutes. Until they do that, they're going to continue to be an average, inconsistent team. Once they can start playing well for 90 minutes, that's when you're going to see them start picking up a lot of points more regularly than they are at the moment. He knows it. You can see from those comments that he knows it, and that's the main aim for Arsenal. I think the thing they've got to sort out for next season, because the signs of progress are so clear. I know the results are inconsistent, and I know I get battered by lots of you on social media saying I'm Arteta propaganda, which is utter rubbish. When he's bad, I call him out for being bad, but I still can see the progress. That final hour yesterday, clear progress. The way Arsenal dominated that game, the way they controlled it, the chances they created, the football they played. That's what you've got to see on a consistent basis from Arsenal, and that's the big challenge Arteta's faces. I think he can get there and he can make his team play like that for 90 minutes, but it's a slow process, unfortunately, because he's not got the tools to do it, and a lot of cases he's got to get better players in certain areas. But I can see from the coaching, I can see from the way they play bit parts of the game that they are heading in the right direction. It's just that awful starts and those really inconsistent moments. That's what they've got to cut out, and he knows it as well. Quickly then, before we go today, just a little bit on Aubameyang. Thomas Partey isn't travelling to Ghana. I said that in the last video, which is good news. Ghana have decided not to call him up because of all the COVID restrictions. Different story with Aubameyang. It looks like he will be going to play for Gabon. It looks like he'll only play 1 game. I think the Angola game he won't be available for, but there is another match that he will be available for. It's all down to what countries are on the red list in terms of UK COVID rules, and which countries, if someone went to, they would have to quarantine upon their return. So Arsenal can stop players going when they have to quarantine on their return, but if they don't have to quarantine, then they can go and meet up with their national team. So it looks like Aubameyang will be away for 1 game. Mikel's speaking about it. He said, look, we believe he's going to be okay to go there. We still have a few issues with some players that are so I don't know, unless some rules change or some countries are going to the red zone. I just don't know how the situation is going to be. It's really confusing for everyone at the moment. Doctors, international federations are in constant discussion over it all. But it looks like Aubameyang will be travelling for 1 game. Well, it might even do him a world of good, actually, to get Aubameyang out for a little bit, because he's had a difficult week. We know that. He was really poor yesterday. It wasn't helped by Mikel Arteta playing him for some reason on the right-hand side. at the start of the game. Even when he moved back to the left, though, he was still very, very poor. He was lucky to stay on the pitch for 80 minutes. But maybe going away with Gabon will sort of just give him a little bit of a break from Arsenal that he needs to come back and get back to the sort of form we know Aubameyang can produce. Right, before I go, let me quickly rattle through my player ratings. If you didn't see them yesterday, going through them very quickly, I gave Bernd Leno a 4 in goal. I thought he was poor for the second goal. He should have saved it. Looked sketchy throughout. Couple of decent clearances late on. Couple of decent punches, which were good and were important. But on the whole, I thought it was a very dodgy performance from Bernd Leno. He gets a 4. In the defence, I gave Mari and Louise 5 each. I thought they were pretty disappointing, very shaky at times. I mean, West Ham, look, they dominate a lot of teams in the air. And that's where they score a lot of their goals from. We saw it again yesterday with Antonio with a header down for Souček for the third goal. So a difficult game for centre-backs, but I thought both of them were pretty poor. They get pretty poor. They get 5 each. Kieran Tierney, I gave a 6-2. Not his best game. He was at fault for the third goal, giving the ball away. Didn't switch on for the second goal either, along with a lot of other players for that quick free kick. So Tierney gets a 6. Chambers got a 7. I thought Chambers was very, very good. Obviously very influential in the first 2 goals. He gets a 7. In midfield, I gave Xhaka a 5. I gave Thomas Partey a 6. I gave Saka a 6. Odegaard was my man of the match with an 8. Aubameyang, I gave a 3. Really poor from Aubameyang, as I said. Just not involved in the game at all. And Lacazette, I gave an 8 to. Odegaard was my man of the match. But I did think Lacazette was the best I've seen him play for a long, long time. Lacazette, unlucky to have the first goal taken away from him. Did really well for that, but it was going wide before it took deflection. Got his goal in the end with a header. And just a really excellent performance leading the line from Lacazette. His touch, bringing others into play, the little balls round the corner to the runners. Everything was dialed in for Lacazette yesterday. Thought it was a really, really solid, good performance. So they are my player ratings. Shout for Nicolas Pepe as well, who came on and made a big impact again off the bench. Brilliant ball for Lacazette for the goal. But that's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please do enjoy your week. Obviously, we've got no Arsenal for a while now, but I will continue to try and come on here and do some videos and update you with anything that happens Arsenal-wise. So enjoy your week. Enjoy a little bit of a break from Arsenal, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.